really do it for you.
Baby, love for you. Yeah, baby, I mean love for you. If it come down to love for you, let me show you how to love for you. Love for you.
Tell y'all about my big bro Gerard in the podcast crew.
Here we go.
What's
up,
all right,
man?
you wasn't gonna get started without me now, were you? I
No,
you
man, I would not, cannot.
Cannot, will not, won't not.
Yeah.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of your favorite podcast. The floor is yours. We are here once again to have a real and relevant conversation, the things that we think will be beneficial to you and to everybody that you know. And since it's going to be relevant to everyone you know, you might as well call up everybody you know. Hit them up on the phone, text message, let them know the Floor is Yours podcast is on. Tell them to tune in, watch, take notes, comment, like, share, and subscribe. The Floor is Yours podcast, and so we can get the message out. So, it's my honor and my privilege to do this every week with my main dude, the one and only Flex, the producer, Mr. Gerard Ware. Say what's up to the good people, Gerard.
Good evening, great people, and good evening to you, man. I appreciate you showing up consistently on time, and man, just ready to pour out, this great information, these great lessons, man. You always talk about the relevant information, and that's one thing that we always want to make sure we're doing. We're not just talking for the sake of talking, but we got our ear to the streets, checking the pulse, seeing what's relevant, what's needed, what's most important right now. And, we talked about that earlier, Gregory, about what's going on in the world, in the political world anyway. And that almost make us forget that we need to nurture ourselves, our relationships amongst each other, our relationships, our partnerships in business. So appreciate you showing up consistently and ready to pour out in those areas, man.
Hey, it's my pleasure. Listen, this conversation tonight, I think is particularly relevant because you're right. The world is divisive. I mean, wherever you go, if you're looking for a problem, it's easy to find one. And so since problems are always constant, adversity is always constant, challenges is always constant, we might as well talk about how to overcome those things. And so tonight, we're going to talk about unresolved issues and how they can damage your personal, professional relationships, and even a relationship you have with yourself. And so how unresolved issues can distract, can destroy what you're trying to build in your life. That's what we're going to talk about today, because, studies have shown that the number one cause of problems in relationship is unspoken expectations, right? Which leads us to unresolved issues. And so if your partner doesn't know that you have this expectation, then how are they expected to perform? And so likewise, unresolved issues, that thing you just didn't get over, that thing that's still nagging at you that you may have discussed 3 weeks ago, 3 months ago, or 3 years ago, that's still in the back of your mind, and say that conversation just isn't finished for me yet. There's still some more that I want to say about it. And that's what we're going to talk about today. But before we go into it, Gerard, who do you think, in your opinion, has the biggest issue with unresolved issues? Is it men or is it women? I'm gonna get you in trouble. So that's what I'm doing.
I like these unplanned questions. You caught me off guard, but I really think it depends on perspective. And I'm not trying to play the safe space in this thing. And I'll explain why I think that way. I think that men have our own challenges of just saying, like, that's not that big of an issue. They just go on and, try to smooth over it in some way. And sometimes it works, right? Especially for smaller issues, but that doesn't always work. But there's also an unresolved issue that some women deal with, and they can linger because I'm trying to state this right because I don't want to get in trouble. I think sometimes women, not just women, but women can tend to think that everything needs to be resolved, meaning there needs to be a mutual, answer, to a situation that they are okay with. And if it's not, it can go on. So sometimes what's unresolved is not this particular situation, is inside somebody's heart, in their mind, right? where they can
You're,
overthink and over process stuff and over engineer stuff. So I think it just depends on the people, and what this
mhm.
issue is, So
Yeah, yeah. You're absolutely right. It was a trick question. The answer is not male or female. The
yeah.
answer is the person that has the most history with that type of pain.
Man, I passed the test, bro.
You
Come on.
did, you did, you did.
Yeah.
You're not just a pretty face. Um, but
You
listen,
crazy,
yeah,
bro.
people who have the most history with that sort of pain or trauma have a harder time getting over issues. So that could be spiritual hurt, that can be financial hurt, emotional hurt, whatever it may be. If they have the most history with it, they have the biggest issue of that conversation not ending or putting a period at the end of the
Yeah.
conversation. It has to continue for them. And so that's why it's particularly important, whether in business or in relationships, to know who you're partnered with and to also know what their previous trauma is. And so one of the things I do with couples coaching is I always ask the question, what is the biggest trauma that you faced? And how did you overcome it? Or how are you currently working toward overcoming it?
Yeah.
That tells you so much. That tells you so much about the person. And again, it could be abandonment issues, right? It
Yeah.
could be financial infidelity, right? It could be unemployment. It could be health issues, whatever it may be. Maybe you saw a parent pass away or something like that. You got trauma when someone gets sick or get the cold or catches, heaven forbid, catches COVID.
Yeah.
That resonates with you. And so we have to know where those traumas are, and then we'll know why these things linger in somebody's head longer than we think
Yeah.
they should.
You bring up a good point, and I'm thinking about something like infidelity, right?
Hmm.
Or whatever it is, but I just focusing on that one. If say that they caused a breakup in a
Yeah.
relationship and this person moves on, to their separate ways, they never maybe ever processed it, talked through it, or talked about how it affected them, their trust, their ability to open up, right? So you can take that into your next relationship, and that other person that you're in a relationship with has nothing to do with the past hurt, but there's an unresolved issue that's within the person that's coming from the other relationship that can be putting up an unfair burden on the new person. So you just made me think about that. Sometimes it could be unresolved even in a new situation because, to what you were saying, it never got addressed in a serious manner. We just called it quits, went our separate ways, and I'm carrying whatever hurt and pain from that relationship to the next one.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And that brings us to the first way these unresolved issues affect relationships, and that is it creates two different realities. So you have two people who may be living in the same house in the same relationship, but they're seemingly walking together, but they're having different experiences. And so depending on where that hurt came from and it's unresolved, one person may feel not respected, not appreciated, and not valued. And the tricky part is that the partner that is not offended doesn't know that they're working has something working against them, right? And they
Yeah.
don't know that they should be trying to overcome this issue that their partner is having because
Wow.
they're struggling with it, right? And so, but you do feel it, even though you don't understand it, because you can't help but create a bond with someone who you're in close proximity with, or you spend a lot
Yeah.
of time. And so you find yourself fighting against a ghost,
Yeah.
right?
Or you said that you might not know, but sometimes you might know, but don't know how much it affects them, right? Because even some people might not know. Again, they come into a new relationship and they think like, "Hey, I left that problem behind me, and I want to be better." But sometimes,
Hmm.
people haven't done the work to become better, and you end up in this relationship, and you put that burden again on the person that you're in the relationship with. And I'm just thinking about one of these comments that showed up in the chat, and we'll get to them. With that being said, y'all in the chat, keep the comments coming. Appreciate you. We're gonna make sure we get to them all, but to your point, you're right. Sometimes you don't know, but sometimes you don't know the extent of, but you don't know the extent of the damage that person or the hurt that person is bringing.
Yeah, and that just makes me think. A lot of times I hear people when they are in relationships and they'll say to their partner, "Your happiness is your responsibility. I'm not here to make you happy. You need to bring it on." I tend to fight against that a little bit and think that we're here to help each other be happy. Yeah, I have to own my happiness, true, but you are co-partnering with me
Yeah,
in creating a happy relationship, and so I own it. But we're partners here. And
Yeah.
so your words, your actions, your deeds, the things you do and you don't do, they do affect my happiness. And so I think that sometimes we have to tap our person on the shoulder and go, how happy are you? And what can I do to help you in your happiness? And not just leave it for them to work out for themselves, but is there something I can do to help you along the way?
Yeah.
Right?
I'm glad you addressed that because there is a lot of memes and posts and even people that are teaching, if you will, that's telling them like, hey, happiness is an inside job. And which is true, but you could take that out of context and try to shoulder that alone. I just don't think that we were made to do it alone. Now,
Hmm.
there's some self responsibilities there, absolutely. But to your point, especially if you're in a relationship, those in closest proximity, and when they know and they're growing and improving as well, they can help contribute to. But I like that you said help. It's like that alley oop on the
Yeah.
basketball court, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
it takes
Yeah.
more than one person.
Yeah, yeah. How can I help? Can I cook you your favorite meal? Can I take you out for a movie? Do you want to just go for a walk? Sure enough, you're working on your own issues, but I can help you along the way. I can hold your hand. You just want to sit on the couch and vent, get it off your chest. You want to eat some ice cream, whatever it is. Let me help you with this happiness. I think it's emotionally irresponsible to your partner to say, "Hey, if you're not happy, you have to figure it out, and I'm gonna wait over here in the corner until you get it." And so sometimes what that does is that will delay the healing because your partner sometimes is just looking for a lifeline. I just want someone to start the conversation
Yeah,
because sometimes the person may be intimidated, afraid, embarrassed to say, I'm hurting right now.
but
Tap that
Gregory,
person on the shoulder.
isn't
Yo.
there an expectation for the person to come at a certain level? Or forgive me if I'm stating it with the wrong word,
Hmm.
but a certain level of healedness, right? You just can't come in just totally raggedy and just unhinged to be like, hey, I'm in a relationship with you now. You need to help me. Like there needs to be some level of not just continuity between each other, but of healthiness that I bring myself that makes it where it's conducive to where we can grow together.
Yeah, that person's level of mental health has to be complementary to the growth that you want to
Complementary,
have. Yeah,
complementary.
yeah, it has to be complementary. Thank you to the growth that you want to have in life. And so some people have larger capacities to be in relationships with people who have more baggage, if you will. And so some people have capacity to be with someone who maybe experienced sexual trauma, violent trauma in their life, and be able to work with them through that. And some people can't because they feel like it'll be an anchor. I have to, monitor that and be in care of that as I try to achieve my goals. And it's too much. So you have to
Yeah,
be aware, number one, of your own capacity of what you're able to handle and what you're not able to handle. But what you want to be very, very mindful of is that if I'm with this person, can I move at the rate and speed that I want to achieve my goals? And
yeah.
if the answer is no, you should not be in a relationship with that person. They should not be slowing you down.
Yeah, and another thing you made me think about is that old analogy of sweeping stuff under the carpet, right? It's one of
Yeah.
the oldest and simplest, but you're sweeping under the carpet. It's unresolved, and eventually, I mean, you may be able to maneuver around it, but as the saying goes,
Eventually you're gonna trip over it, right?
one day, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah. And so that creates a lot of passive aggressiveness, right? And so I'm really mad at the fact that you were overspending and you said you were going to you were going to stay in the budget. But then I blow up when you burn the toast, right? That's passive aggressiveness. Like
yeah,
let's address the issue. A lot of people have problems with that because they weren't shown how to address issues as they occur.
yeah,
A lot of people are just uncomfortable with being uncomfortable. And here's the truth about relationships. And if no one ever told the listeners, if no one ever told you this, I'm going to tell you now. Sooner or later, your partner will disappoint you. Sooner or later, your partner will make you angry. Sooner or later, your partner is going to make you sad. It'll be nice if your partner never fumbled, never made a mistake, but sooner or later, you're going to have to address a blemish. And so that doesn't mean that the relationship is bad. It just means it was a bad day,
yeah.
right? And
Moment.
so what do we do on this bad day? We got to talk about it. Got to, hey, say, pause, babe. let's talk about this before it gets too far away from us. Right here, when you did this or you said that, it made me feel like this or like that, and get it addressed. And we can do that respectfully. We can do that with love. But a lot of times we think, oh, if I have to bring up a problem, then that means there's a problem in a relationship. No, no, no. It's not a problem that you have a problem. The problem is you don't know how to address problems
Yeah,
when you
and
have them.
refuse to. Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Hey, and just staying in that vein too about that analogy about sweeping it under the rug. I was looking at the notes, and it shows how as it grows, the ways that it shows up, and it says you get shorter patience,
Yeah.
less affection, more assumptions, and the other one it says emotional withdrawal. And I was wondering, do out of those four, do any of them stand out to some that you, as when you counsel people, that you've
Yeah.
had to address most, whether it's shorter patience, less affection, more assumptions, or emotional withdrawal?
Yeah, I probably have to say all of them are very relevant, but the first thing is shorter patience. Because when you're holding that in, you are creating this expectation. Oh, you're gonna let me down. You're gonna disappoint me. Okay, you say you'll be here at 3. I'm not gonna expect you to 3:30, so I'm gonna have an attitude, even if you show up 5 minutes early, right? And so the shorter patience is tends to be the biggest issue when you have unresolved issues. I don't want to talk to you. Just leave me alone. You don't have the bandwidth to want to explore, to want to get things hashed out. You become so irritated at the person that your
Yeah,
patience gets short. And of course that does affect the communication, and it does affect the intimacy. But yeah, patience tends to be the
yeah.
biggest thing that happens.
And probably what compounds that too is we such a busy world, jobs, family, extended family, children, our own hobbies and desires and goals, right? So who wants to spend time talking about issues if we can just kind of throw it over in the corner and hope that it don't happen again, right?
Yeah, yeah. We would rather avoid it than deal with it because it's easier that way. If I ignore it, then sooner or later, she'll forget about it or he'll forget about it, and we can just leave it all in the past. Nothing's ever healed that's undealt with. You can't fix what you won't face. You can't be delivered from what you won't deal with, and so it's going to show up eventually. There's a saying that says your childhood trauma will show up in your future relationships if you don't deal with them.
Wait,
It
say that one
all
more time.
Your childhood traumas will show up in your future relationships if you don't deal with them.
Oh, wow.
It eventually comes out. It comes out in your behavior. It may not come out immediately, but as sooner or later you're gonna have to deal with that demon, and so it's better to do it right then and there in the moment, so you can remember the facts and you stay focused on the situation, which is really the key thing. Is that your partner, especially for those who are married, your spouse is not your enemy. We're never fighting our spouse. We're fighting against. We're fighting to win the relationship. So I'm not fighting against you. I'm
That's
fighting for the relationship.
That's good. I like that. So before we get too far from the next topic, because you mentioned abandonment issues, so there's a comment. I want to let you a couple comments. I want to let you respond to. This is
Yeah.
from my good friend Mia. She says, "What if a person don't want to address their abandonment issues, but continue to bleed on those who didn't cause it? Now suddenly you become the target of their issue. So they place that blame, that responsibility on you. Like, hey, I have this issue, so don't trigger me to respond or act in a certain way. In that instance, I think two things can be true. While I should be conscious about triggering things, but at the same time, I don't want to walk around on eggshells. But again, I shouldn't be triggering them, but at the same time, they need to be healing from their abandonment issues too, right?
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, and so first things first is don't receive it. Tell the person, I don't receive what you're trying to put on me. The fact
Mm,
that you are triggered shows that I am present. You're not triggered by someone who is absent. You're triggered by someone who is present. So my presence is the fact that you're being triggered is confirmation that I'm involved, that I'm attached, that you are emotionally connected to me. And the fact that I'm here shows that I'm emotionally connected to you. Now, my responsibility to you is to be a respectful, loving partner. Your responsibility is to find your own healing, and how I can help you with that, I will be willing to do it. But I'm not going to receive that I triggered you. What I
Yeah.
will do is partner with you so you can get your healing. So I'm not going to receive that. I'm not going to allow you to place that on me. What I think you need to hold for yourself, though, is there something that you need to deal with?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Put
And just to
put it back on
clarity,
them.
yeah, and
Mhm.
clarity into what I said when I'm saying I shouldn't be triggering them. I like the way you framed it because you stated it better. You said I should be a loving, nurturing partner. That's
Mhm.
what I'm saying. Yeah. So I'm not
That's
saying,
what I'm here for. That's
yeah,
what I'm here for. But there are some things that you need to unpack. And so what you're feeling now are things that you need to work on, not my actions.
yeah, yeah. And I'll let you read this comment and respond how you see fit.
Yeah. A person can only take so much of being the blame and it being used as a scapegoat or using that hurt and trauma to manipulate others. That's true. That's not good. You're bound to cause fragmented relationships. 100%. 100%. There are people who are dealing with issues that they don't know. They haven't unpacked or haven't uncovered, right? And so if you're a partner in someone's life, we become a mirror and we see their blind spots. I was telling I was telling one of my best friends last night that a good partner can see the back of your thighs, right? And I mean that kind of facetiously a bit, but when you think about your body, like we don't have a good perspective of the backside of our thighs, but our partner does. And so I say that and jokingly, but say that our partner can see parts of us that we cannot see clearly,
Yeah.
right? And so a good partner, a loving partner tells you, hey, this is what I see from the outside. And this is how you're showing up. And this is how you're demonstrating your character. And so number one, a person can only take so much, and you may need to go away for a weekend, may need to go away for a month, whatever it is. If it's damaging your mental health, take whatever breaks and whatever space you need to do it. But then also, I would lovingly confront your partner and say, "Listen, I'm only a mirror to who you are. What you are seeing is a reflection of yourself. We are creating this environment. You get the partner you create." You
Yeah.
get the partner that you create. And so
Yeah.
what's happened is that you created this and now it's your responsibility to mend it and to nurture it to be better.
That's dope. That's dope. And we got a few more people showing up in the chat and saying hello. My sister Aja. Aja,
Hey
appreciate you
Audrey,
tuning
what's
in.
up, sis? Good to
I
see
know
you.
this is a name you should be familiar with back at our Freddie Mac days.
Ian, what's up? What's
Yeah,
up,
yeah.
brother? Good to see you, my man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And, Mia, she says that's good, Gregory. I think she meant to say Gerard, but our names are so
Mm,
close. Yeah,
could
probably,
be, yeah,
yeah,
possibly, maybe.
yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
well,
For sure.
okay.
Hey, and man,
Debatable.
I always light up when I see this name pop up in the chat. Man, I served with her back way back when. I ain't gonna tell you the years because it aged me. But when I was a little young soldier, man, good friend,
Hmm.
man, and we remain in contact throughout these years. She's from Hilton Head Island, South Carolina, man. She out there with the big houses and golf courses on the coast. So appreciate her. And my childhood friend, classmate, homie, Antone. Appreciate you for tuning in too, Tom. Yeah. So cool. So what has she got, brother?
Yeah, yeah. And so these unresolved issues, a lot of times, come up. Like I said earlier, I was hinting at is that people are dealing with issues that they are unaware that they're dealing with. And so as a loving, healthy partner, it is we should be mindful to address those issues. Do you know that you're distanced? Do you know that you're uncommunicative? Do you know that you're not engaged? Do you know that you're prone to anger and that you have a short fuse? Do you know this about yourself? Are you aware of that? Are you aware of this? Because some people will think that that is normal depending on their background, right? And so, again, unresolved issues are most seen in people who have the most history with that trauma. And so, if you grew up in a traumatic household that was prone to volatility, you only know to respond with aggression and with anger. You don't know how to respond with love, kindness, and like just a adult conversation. You feel like if we're not fighting, we're not communicating. And so you have to address those issues with people and bring it to the table because sometimes they may not even know that this is
Mm,
how they're showing up. It could be a blind spot for them.
yeah, that's important, right? It's the old saying like we can't address what we don't admit. That old saying or
Yeah,
the analogy when people are in alcoholics and not anonymous. You have to
yeah,
admit the issue, but if you don't even know it, like you can't even begin to address what the problem is. right?
Yeah. The first step of healing is admitting you have a problem, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. And so if the person is not willing to admit or say out loud, I know I have an issue with anger, or I know I have poor communication skills, then you're fighting an uphill battle right here. Right?
yeah,
This is going to be a very difficult time to overcome, and that's probably going to require some professional assistance along the way. There are
yeah.
some things that a good partner can fix, but there are some things that you do have to take to therapy. And if you're going to take it to therapy, make sure you find someone that the person who's most offended feels a chemistry with, feels
Yeah,
connected to.
that's important. That's important.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we got a couple more tuning in. Sister Carlika, she says, "Hey," and man, same with Miss Coley Brown. Nicole always tunes in too. She said hello to us both. But I got a good question here from Ian. Ian says, "What are the ways we can create self-awareness?" And I think that's an important consideration when we're trying to work out through this, because sometimes what you just said, people aren't even aware of what it is. So I'm thinking of I've come across those instances where people didn't even know that they were offensive and how they move, or they were controlling in some of their behaviors, or something. Like, how do you raise a level of self-awareness in self, but also in others?
Yeah, well, in yourself, one of the things you want to do is take an inventory of what people have said about you, and so I would say if you want to know how you're coming across, because some people have a low level of self-awareness, and so what you want to do is take an inventory of the people that's closest to you and say, give me the three best adjectives you would use to describe me, and you gotta be able to take whatever it is they give to you, because these are people that are seeing from the outside in, right? And then also, um, think about when was the last time someone congratulated you? What was the last good thing someone said about you? In what area and what space? Because we don't just want to know the bad, we also want to know the good. What was the last three things? And then what was the last three things that someone said kind of unpleasant about you? It doesn't have to be mean or rude, but just not always pleasant. What that inventory does, you have to write it down. What that inventory does is that it makes you aware of what is actually being said. Because if we don't take an inventory on it, we get to pick and choose. We get to walk around saying, well, hey, Gerard doesn't know what he's talking about. Man, I was good, on that project. I knew what I was doing. But if we write it down and we look at it, we'll go, wow, this is true for people that are experiencing me. They experience someone who is harsh, who is cruel, who is mean, who is lazy, who is not engaged, and go, wow, this is what people experience when they experience me. And say this is true for some people. And so this may be an area that I need to work on. I remember years ago, I had a review with my manager at work, and one of the things that was said to me was I don't come across as interested. Now, if anyone that knows me outside of the podcast knows I have a pretty laid back personality. I'm really chill, like I'm really zen. Is how I like to describe myself. I'm really zen, and so my manager has said, I just want to see a little bit more fire in you, a little bit more spark in you, and I took that not to heart but to head and said, okay, when people experience me, they experience someone who doesn't have a lot of energy. And so I said, okay, on purpose, when it matters, when it counts, only when it counts. I'm not changing who I am, but if I'm looking for the promotion or I'm looking to shine in this particular area, or if I'm on a podcast, I need to probably liven up a bit
Yeah,
to show people, hey, listen, I'm really connecting to this. This really matters to me, because it was feedback is always a gift, and that was a gift when I heard that feedback.
that's good. That's good. And just to add to that too, when you're out seeking input from other people or feedback from others, I think it's important to get a variety, right? You don't want to just get your best friends, right, that see you in one light. Go to your family, especially seek out those that that are I don't want to use the word brave, like someone that's scared, but you
Critical.
should have someone
Yeah.
that's able to speak truth in the matter, right? And that
Yeah.
know you and understand you. So I think seeking input from people across different spectrums is also important.
The second thing I would add before we move on is, if you want to know who you are, ask yourself, when was the last time you let yourself down? When was the
Oh,
last time you let yourself down? Yeah. That would be probably one of the harshest truth, where you said you was going to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and go to the gym, but you didn't do it. Tell yourself that truth, that I'm not responsible to myself. I let myself down. I owe myself an apology. So ask yourself, when was the last time you let yourself down? And when was the last time you made yourself proud?
Yeah.
And that
That's
would
good.
give you a great level of self
Yeah.
awareness also.
Yeah. And before we go to the commercial break, we got a couple more comments I want to address. I love when the word accountability shows up in the comments. Talking
Yeah.
about these unresolved
Yeah.
issues, I think there's a shared responsibility first that creates accountability or the ability to be accountable. Because I
Hmm.
always said this before: if you don't feel like you're responsible for the health of that relationship, good luck trying to hold somebody accountable to it, right? But I
Yeah,
think once you
absolutely.
understand the shared responsibility in it, now you can begin to talk about what accountability looks like. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And we're both accountable for this
yeah,
relationship. We're both in here together. Yeah.
yeah. And I love this feedback from Aja. I'll let you read it and respond to it.
Oh, Aja. Oh, yeah, this is gonna be good. I already know. I
Yeah,
saw her name pop up. Name emotions. I'm frustrated. I'm mad. Beautiful. Pay attention to triggering some reactions. Lovely. Observe. Don't judge what happened before this feeling showed up. Man, golden nuggets right there. I like the one. Pay attention to triggering same reactions. A lot of times we don't ask ourselves, okay, what was it in that moment that escalated my emotions, that made me go really sad, really angry, or really emotional? What was it? Name that thing and keep it in that moment. Was it just a compound effect of the day's events, or was it an isolated word or phrase or action? That's so important. And also naming the emotions. A lot of times we like to use colorful language and four-letter words to express how we feel. But if
yeah,
you can actually say, no, I'm feeling disappointed, I'm feeling let down, I'm feeling abandoned, I'm feeling scared, I'm feeling fear, that helps us get to the solution faster when we can actually say the name of what it is you're feeling. So if you can do that, your healing comes quicker. So Aja, golden nuggets. Thank you so much
oh
for
yeah.
that. Love
Yeah,
it.
we go. Now we got some more comments, but just gonna go to commercial break. But we are talking about unresolved issues, what they look like, and what could contribute to them, and then what are individual and shared roles in resolving those. So let's go to commercial break, and after the commercial break, we'll come back and continue the discussion. I think.
Real men talk. If I had a group of brothers that I could confide in, a group of brothers that encourage me to be the best man possible, that hold me accountable for actions, but brothers that won't beat me down when I fall short. If I had brothers like that in my life, I'd open up more about my challenges. I wouldn't be afraid of being vulnerable and transparent. I'd be more deliberate in my actions and not scared of failure. I wouldn't act like everything is okay when I'm hurting inside. Sometimes it seems like there's an all-out assault from the world on black men, and hurtful words from my lady cut deep. I can't show my pain, 'cause if she knew that she hurt me, she would do it over and over again, hoping that each time cut deeper than the last. I do understand that women have challenges too. That's why I work so hard to be the strength she needs. But I need a band of brothers who understand that sometimes I simply want them to listen. Sometimes I need advice, but other times I need a shoulder to lean on. I need a band of brothers that create a safe space that gives us all a chance to talk about our fears. Because it's therapeutic when real men talk. Real men talk. Real men talk.
Welcome back, brother. So where we are talking about real men talk, we're going to be pushing that, and we talked about it. We're going to be pushing that platform a lot over the next few months, leading up to a couple events that we got coming up this summer in June. Some June, for everybody that don't know, is Men's Mental Health
Health
Awareness
Month.
Month. Yeah,
Hmm.
so we got an event in Vegas that we've been invited to, and also one down in Texarkana. We've been invited to speak at both. So we're going to be pushing that big time. So, we always say this. I think when men are stronger, that our families are stronger, our communities are stronger, which, helps this world be better. So, hey, follow us and look out for more information on Real Men Talk.
1000%. 1000%. We're talking about, of course, unresolved issues, how they can affect your relationship personally and professionally in all areas of life. Most of all, personally, the biggest relationship you'll have is the one you have with yourself. And so if you don't fix these unresolved issues, what you'll find is that you're capping your potential. You're not reaching your full scope of your ability that you have. And so it's important to get these unresolved issues dealt with. And as we said earlier, the person has the biggest issues in life are the ones that have the most history with those issues. So it's important to know your person's past traumas as you get in relationship with them. One of the things, though, the topics that when couples, I work with couples. One of the things that I always want to ask this question is, tell me not what you're fighting about, but tell me what you're fighting for. I care less about what you're fighting about. I care most about what you're fighting for. Because a lot of times we have these back and forths, the conversation, and be it, about the dishes, about the children, about the money, or about quality time, or whatever it may be. It's not necessarily the fact that you don't spend enough time with me, or you're spending too much money, or the kids are always around. The issue is that we're fighting for a connection. So what is it that's blocking that connection? So I care less about what you're fighting about. I really care most about what you're fighting for. And so when you have these instances come up in your relationship and you find yourself battling each other, look your partner in the eye and tell me, what is it you're fighting for? Not what you're fighting about. I know that you said that you're angry at me because I said I was going to take out the trash and I didn't take out the trash. But tell me how did that affect you? What did that make you feel? And what is it you're fighting for? And you'll be amazed at the language that comes out of that. They'll say, well, I feel like you're not partnering with me. I feel like you're neglectful. I feel like you don't care about the things I care about. Those are the conversations that we want to have, and not focused on, well, you didn't take out the trash. We want to make them meaningful conversations. And so one way to provoke that is to ask your partner, hey, what are you fighting for? Not what
Yeah,
you're fighting about.
and that's good. That's good information. I like that you the way you frame that scenario. Like in that instance, I guess what someone could be fighting for is a partnership. And I
Hmm.
say that because and just real quick, hey, the comments are still coming in, Gregory. Man, I love these times right here. So just letting the audience know, keep them coming. Make your comments, ask your questions, and we're gonna make sure we get to them. But in that instance, the scenario that you talked about, how important a
Hmm.
partnership is, right, in a relationship. And I was looking at one of these examples. It says unresolved issues shift the relationship from a partnership to a survival mode. And instead of teamwork, curiosity, and generosity, you get defensiveness, scorekeeping, and emotional shutdown. And that scorekeeping, how damaging is that? Can you talk about why unresolved issues can lead to a person keeping score, like how many times you hurt me, what you did, and just how damaging that can be?
Yeah, it makes you closed, right? And so in a relationship, you want to approach your partner with your arms open to so they can be received and so you can receive them. But when you're keeping score, it's like, okay, now I got to guard the ball. I got to protect myself. I can't let you in because if I do, you're going to hurt me more, and I don't want you to put more points on the board than
Come
me.
on.
So let me just guard myself. And so what happens is that you become roommates and not partners. And how that is damaging is that you just become zombies living together, but you're not really thriving together. There's a difference between surviving and thriving. And the goal in relationship is to thrive. You have so many people say, "Hey, we've been together for 20 years, been together for 30 years." Yeah, you survived 20 years together. You survived 30 years together, but did you thrive in those years? Surviving is not the goal. Thriving is. And so when you're keeping score, you're only surviving. You're not thriving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking how it keeps both parties off balance, right? If I know
Hmm.
that somebody's keeping score, it's going to make me hesitant to engage them in conversations because, no matter the intentions of it, bringing up past, offenses, I think that just, you got to be careful about that. And I know sometimes people can be, could want to do it because it makes it relevant in the moment. Hey, do you remember when you did X, Y, Z?
Yeah.
It's kind
Right.
of how it is now, right? And it
Right.
seems right to bring it up, but yeah, hovering, getting those things and holding them over a person's head, keeping the score is. I just don't see
Yeah.
how healthy that can
And
be.
And I don't know about you, Gerard, but I don't want to keep score in my relationship because I want to be able to love my woman freely. I want to be able to bring her
That's good.
coffee in the morning so many times I don't remember. I don't want to say, well, I did it, 365 days last year, but you haven't did it once for me. Like, I don't want to do that. I just want to be able to
Yeah.
love my woman the way I want to love
Mhm.
my woman without keeping score. It don't matter if I
Yeah.
do it 20, 50, or 100 more times than you. This is not about keeping score. It's about me just showing you love. I don't want to feel like I can only respond with love after you've done something for me. Tit for
Yeah.
tat. That's not the way I want to
Yeah.
live.
I kind of cringed. I don't know if you saw that when you said 365 to 1. Like, hey, I ain't keeping score, but it's lopsided. So I think you're about, and what to me is not what you're fighting about, but what you're fighting for. So now I can say, like, hey, I want to feel like I matter to you. So hey, I'm not keeping score, but I just want to be my love to be reciprocated. Now, is that okay to say?
Yeah, 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 yeah. And so, but making sure that your partner isn't showing love in their own way. Maybe they don't bring you coffee in the morning, but maybe they make sure that, your laundry's done or something else, whatever it may be. So just make sure that they're trying to. You're not ignoring how they're trying to show you love.
Yeah, and people showing you love. I got to get me some good sayings too, so people can say this to me in the comments too, man. I just say, okay, Gregory, with the claps. Yeah, to me,
Thank you, sis.
Dr. Gregory, love her. You're right, man. Love that woman, man. Hey, real funny thing. What's the singer that used to sing "Put That Woman First"? I can't think.
Yeah, Jaheim.
Jaheim, yeah. You see the meme later on in life. He's looking a little rough, and it says, "This will happen when you put that woman first." Dude look like he been
That's what
beaten.
happens when you put the wrong woman first.
Wrong. Yeah, for sure, for sure. So
Yeah.
we got some more comments coming in. I don't know if you want to get to them or you got another point
Yeah,
that
I
you.
want to. I love the comments. Comments are the favorite part of the show.
Oh man, yeah, they're coming in. So Miss Coley, she said unresolved issues are emotional wounds that were never fully acknowledged, processed, or healed. They don't disappear with time, they settle and then resurface in subtle ways. Man, she hit it on. That's almost some of the points that I had, but I like the one particularly that she said they don't disappear with time, they settle. And sometimes we think with that old saying that time heals wounds, and it could seem that way, but to her point, they just settle and then resurface in different ways,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. One of the biggest gifts that we can give our partner is the opportunity to bring up something from the past that they still hurt from. And we have to have a mindset of if it still hurts my partner, then it still matters. If it
Mm,
still hurts, it still matters. And even though it's done for me, like it's a dead and buried issue. I'm past it now. But if you still hurt, then it still matters. And so if we had that conversation 3 weeks ago or 3 months ago, but you still want to bring it up because you still have more to say on that topic, then I, as a loving partner, I want to receive what you have to say because there's a part in you that hasn't healed from this. And so when you bring this back up 3 weeks later, or 3 months, 3 months later, you're telling me, oh, here is a wound. Here's a wound that I have. And that is a gift to be the person in your life who can be responsible for holding that wound and helping you mend it. And so we got to give our partner that opportunity in that space to go, hey, this still hurts. Now, I don't want you to be hurt forever. I don't want to be having this up coming up 3 years from now still. So let's see if we can actually get to a reasonable resolve to this issue. But as long as it hurts, it still matters.
yeah, and I'm glad because that's what I was going to bring up to further that is you talked earlier about knowing your capacity. Sometimes that might be above what we say in the military, above your pay grade or your ability to resolve. So you got to know when to bring out an outside source, right? Whether it's counseling through a counselor, therapy, someone in the church, someone who has the capacity and the interest to see both of y'all healthy and moving on, right? So you can't bring in anybody, right? Or one-sided or a
Yeah.
biased source. But yeah, you're right. You don't want to have this going on, but I think it's for a long time, but think it is important to say, to know your capacity and say, like,
Right.
this is beyond me. I've either one, it could not even be something that I done, or it could be something that I done, but hey, I apologize and the reason why I say that, Gregory, is because some people have literally forgiven you, but they like that special treatment they get. So they'll sit in a fence for an extended period just to gain favor and position over you because, you did wrong. So let me keep this because I love this favorable action or behavior that's coming by.
Yeah, that's called manipulation. But
Totally.
yeah, that does happen. And just to quantify, when do you know it's time to get therapy? You know it's time to get therapy when the presence of this issue interrupts your effectiveness to accomplish daily activities. So this is standing in the way of you performing well at work or being present with your children or exercising, your hobbies, or wherever it may be. So if it is affecting your effectiveness to accomplish daily tasks, then it's time to get therapy.
Yeah, that's dope. That's dope. So we got this one here from Ian. He says, when we do self-inventory, are we looking at recent factors or everything ourselves as a whole? So is there
Yes.
something recent or as a whole?
As a whole, what we're looking for is patterns. We're looking
Yeah,
for those areas that are consistently showing up, and that could be over a course of 30 years, 20 years, 10 years, or even 10 weeks. But this tends to be a pattern. I see that I start a diet and I'll only stay on it for 2 weeks. That's a pattern. Or I start reading this book about a particular topic I enjoy, but I don't get past chapter one. These are patterns, and so that's what we're looking to identify, and that doesn't necessarily have a time limit to it, but what area are you consistently underperforming? That's what we're looking for.
yeah, and just to stress that patterns tells a complete story or a more complete story.
Hmm.
Not that one-off infractions don't mean anything, but when you
Yeah.
talk about honing in on the more meaningful things, those patterns tell a complete story. Yeah,
Oh yeah, they do.
yeah. The plug to life. I think that's a podcast as well, but they said Real Men Talk. Good evening, gentlemen. So they was responding to the Real Men Talk commercial. Appreciate the good.
Appreciate you.
Yeah. Kalika was saying so true. Tamika says not what you're fighting about, but what you're fighting for. She was just amplifying what you stated
Yeah,
earlier.
and I think, just to add a little bit to that, that's important to be able to know for yourself so you can tell your partner, right? Because we get so stuck in I'm angry. Well, what are you angry about? I need to know what it can you put words, adjectives, nouns, and pronouns around that. So I'll know how to show up better. So
Yeah,
I'll know how I need to be in this particular space, in this particular time with you. Yeah.
yeah. Tamika also said the point system destroys the best of us. You're right. It's I think it's demoralizing. It's disrespectful. It's just not loving when you're keeping a point system, and it's almost like, hey, I'm trying to win, a contest against you versus we're a partner trying to grow together. So I
Yeah.
agree with that point system destroys the best of us.
And that's the good and the bad. That's the good and the bad. My favorite book of all time says that love keeps no record of wrongdoing. So we don't keep a tally of the good that you've done. We don't keep a tally of the bad that your partner has done either. We
Yeah,
there's no scoring here. It's just an experience that we have together.
yeah, cool, cool, cool. But I think it's important too to make sure that we're yoked up with a healthy mate, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, because
Oh
if you
yeah.
get to the point where it seems like, you know what, I gotta um, keep track of what I've done because it's not being reciprocated. Then that's another story, right? We got to start even addressing.
Again, yeah, if it impacts your effectiveness to accomplish your goals or your daily activities, then you know that's an issue. When you're stagnant, when you're not progressing in life, that is a problem. When there's no progress, we have a problem. And that's when these issues need to be addressed.
Yeah.
But if it's just like you're just mad because, he keeps the toilet seat up, I'm not keeping count on that. I'm not keeping count.
Matter of fact, we need to keep the toilet seat up anyway. So, hey, Tarika says, thriving is the goal. It's time to resolve issues so that you can enjoy life together. And you're right. You got to resolve them, and it can be tough, right? And especially when you got limited time, and other goals and other challenges. But these are unresolved issues will destroy you. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm a ride or die. Like if I'm with you, I'm with you. I'll go through the trenches with you, but I just don't want to stay there. Right. So I'll meet you right where you at. But we're gonna make a plan because we're not staying here forever. I may meet you in the trenches, but give me about 2 or 3 weeks. We're gonna be out. We're gonna get out,
That's the goal.
like yeah, yeah. I don't mind. I don't mind if I love you and I'm with you, I'm down with you. You're my brother, you my baby, you my boo, you my whatever. Like I'll meet you where you at. But you best believe we ain't staying there. We coming up. We coming up and we coming out.
And also an extension of that is, have you been around people like it seems like it's always something? Like you want to go to bat and go in the trenches, but some people live in sorrow. Some people live in offense. Some people live in fear. And that can be overbearing and overwhelming to people that their friends or relationships or even their kids, right? So you're right. You do want to go to bat for people, but at some point when you see those type of people, I think they have deeper issues. And then we talk again about capacity or the need to seek outside help. Like I think it's important to recognize if you're with those type of people to know, like, they living in sorrow. They're living in offense. They're living in
Yeah,
or
yeah,
those
yeah,
mystic people. And that could be draining.
yeah. And that is a spectrum, right? You have some people who have a fixed mindset. Life is what it is. You have people who have a slave mentality. You have people that have a scarcity mentality as well. And so some people, yeah, they just are kind of fixed that the world is bad, the glass is half empty. And I don't personally want to be associated with people like that closely.
Oh,
I don't want to be in a close relationship where I'm trying to build. Those are people you cannot build with. And so you have to ask yourself, do I want to build or do I want to burden? And I choose to build. It's all about you have the right to choose who you spend your life with. And this person is a burden and not a builder. It's time to move on.
build a burn. I like that, man. It's a future topic right there. We're gonna get on that.
Hmm.
Hey, Shalonda said it creates a competitive relationship which hurts communication and breeds resentment. I think we were talking about scorekeeping.
Keeping points.
Yeah, keeping points.
Yeah. The only type of competition you want to be in a relationship is who can love each other best.
Yeah.
I think the best marriages is when two servers marry each other. That our focus is how can every day I wake up, how can I make my wife's life better? And she wakes up, how can I make my husband's life better? And it could just be simply, hey, I'm just going to lay out his clothes for him, or I'm going to press his shirt. It doesn't have to be some grand thing, but what's one simple act I can do to lighten his load for today or her load for today as well?
And I think that's important to state because sometimes we're looking for the big shebang, like act of love. And it doesn't have to be that. It can be the little small things.
Hmm.
I know I saw this podcast where these brothers was just pouncing on this one lady and they was trying to discredit her and her mindset that she, brings value to an accomplished man. Because they was trying to pitch the idea that if they got everything, what do they need a woman for? And she broke them down with one of the simplest comments. She was like, her man is very accomplished. So what does she do when he's traveling? She help packs his bag. She knows his snacks that he needs or that he can use, or just the little things that she do that means so much to him. And again, I think the guy was like, yeah, I make this much money and I got this house and I cook my own food. What do I need someone for? And I just think that's the mindset that destroys the ability to have healthy relationships. But it's those small things that can mean so much, right? Especially when you consistently doing them.
You know what? You just said something I think was really powerful there. We talk about unresolved issues. One of the biggest things in life that a person wants is to be seen and be understood, right? And so you're mentioning like knowing his snacks and help packing his bag. He is being seen. He's been understood. Like he's being seen. Here's my need. Can you help me pack my bag? He's understood. Here are my favorite snacks, right? And so people have unresolved issues because they're not seen and they're not understood. And that's what a big human desire is, male, female, young or old. Is does somebody see me? Does somebody understand me? Or is someone trying to understand me? And so by those simple gestures, like, hey, I see your phone's on 20%. Let me charge it up for you. Like, oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
I'm pushing my phone.
It's not the Right. It's not the grand gestures, right? It's not the 5-star restaurant. It's not the rose petals in the living room. What it is just I see you. I see a need. I see your desires. I see your likes. And what that does is that helps create what's also important with unresolved issues is a safe place to be able to
Mhm.
fully address it to where you could be vulnerable and say, this scar came from my childhood. This scar came from my father. This scar came from my mother. And so, unfortunately, Bay, you're going to have to deal with this scar that my mother left me with. Now, I'm gonna do my part. But I just need to make you aware that I have this issue because of the words that my parents said to me. And so, I'm going to do my work, but please be patient with me as I do my work too.
And you set the expectation. And I think that's important to do because again, you're not going to meet anyone that's totally perfect. You know, it seems
Hmm.
cliche. I think that's you got to recognize that
Yeah.
everybody's going to have some baggage, but are they aware of it? You know, which we talked
Right.
about earlier. And are they trying to work through it?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
One of my favorite phrases is when it comes to love, find somebody whose bags you don't mind help carry.
yeah, that's dope. That's dope. Not just
Yeah.
put the backpack on you and just load you down, but they helping.
Hmm.
Right.
I'm gonna help you carry these. Help
This
you
one might
carry.
stump you right here from Tamika, but she said, should we have expectations of reciprocating love to the same depth that we show and give? That's important, right? Should we expect to give it? Like if we pour out in a heavy way, you know, we go to do the work to become these type person that pour out tremendously in relationship. Should we expect that as well? And also, how do you start that conversation?
Should we expect it? No, you should not. Well, what we should expect is the same amount of percentages. And so, what it is that you may show your love through cooking and cleaning. You may show your love through fixing things around the house. So, people have various ways that they show love, and we have to accept the way that someone shows their love or shows up in a relationship. Our responsibility is that enough for me? Does that satisfy me? I can't decide for you how you choose to love me, but what I can decide is that enough for me? And so, can we expect that same amount of depth of love? No. The answer is no. You shouldn't. But what we do expect is the same amount of percentages. And what I mean by that, if I'm giving 100% to you, whatever your 100% looks like, that's what I expect in return,
Yeah,
right? And so the amount that I am giving I do expect in return, even if it's manifested in a different way. And
yeah,
so it would be naive of us to expect that someone can show us the same amount of love the way that we show it.
yeah,
That's not going to happen.
yeah. It's true because I look at love as like a tailored suit, right? But it should fit your mate, you know,
Hmm.
specifically. And to that point, I think your mate should be returning that same effort, you know, or that mindset. So you have to sit back and especially with men. So there's this mindset sometimes that men don't require much, and I tell people like that could not be so far from the truth. It just looks different. It might not come in the form of gifts and monetary gifts or dinners or dates and all that, but that man requires something, and it could be respect. What does he um, care about? His hobbies of it or his concerns. So it's ways that you can show him. Now to label it as a men don't need much, I think you're gonna leave a lot of meat on the bone and leave that man feeling empty and taken for granted if you're not figuring out how to tailor the love in a way that fits him specifically.
Yeah. Back to Tamika's question, I could stay here all night, but I know we got to move on, is the depth of love. We have no way to really quantify or know how deep someone loves you, right? And they just not may be good expressors of it, or they may not be good at displaying it or showing it, but there's no possible way that I can measure how deep someone else loves me. I can only go by the words that they show, and then by that by the words that they give, the actions that they show, and by that I can decide if this is good enough for me. But I can't quantify it.
But
There's
you can
I,
talk about it, right? To say,
you could talk about it. Now, when you talk about it, you can say, here are my desires. I wish that you would show your love through conversations, through dates, through spontaneity. You can do those things, right? But I can't measure how deeply you love me.
Yeah, you're right.
Now,
Yeah,
I think those are important conversations to have, to say that love looks like this to me. And if that person is engaged enough in the relationship, they would say, okay, let me love you the way that you receive love.
yeah.
Um, yeah,
That's good. I think to your point, you can't measure it because there is love that says how I feel, and then there's love that says how I behave. You know what my actions are. And I think that's important to understand. Like, hey, I've had, and actually myself have been in these situations where people say, "You don't love me," and I'm like, "What do you mean I don't love you?" Like, girl, I you know, climb the highest mountain, like them songs say. But what she's saying is it doesn't show in the actions that she measures or register as love. So I think it's important when Tamika says, "How do you start that conversation?" Um, I don't know. How do you start the conversation to say like, "Hey, I'm no longer questioning that you care about me, but how you expressing your care is what the concern may be."
yeah, absolutely. I think you want to start gently and say that over the years, over the time we've been together, I do feel that you do love me, and I do feel that there is definitely deep, deep care and affection here in this relationship. But what I think would bring this to the next level is if you show love this way. Love to me looks like, and then you fill in the blank.
Mm,
And then that person can have greater direction on how to love you. Now,
yeah,
after you have told them your needs, maybe two or three times you've told them your needs and they don't do it, then you may have to question, is this love enough for me?
yeah, good, good, good. And she's saying what you said, if it still hurts, it still matters, Dr.
That's
Gregory.
right.
Yeah.
It still
Hey,
hurts. It still matters.
here's our good friend Elena. Appreciate you tuning in. She said, if it still hurts, it still matters. That's why it comes up again and again. One has to be conscious of their partner, the opposite of self-centered. Absolutely. It's definitely the opposite of being self-centered. You want to comment on that?
You know, love to me is defined when I care about someone else's feelings more than my own. And so
Yeah.
when I'm able to put your desires and your happiness in first place and mine in second place, that shows me, tells me personally that I'm in love. And I think for a lot of people the same may be true. And it is love. Love is sacrifice. Love is sacrificial. You cannot love and not give. And so when you love someone, it does take the limelight off of you, and it becomes a us type
Yeah.
of situation. And I don't think there's little room for self-sacrifice. I mean self-centeredness in a
Yeah.
loving relationship
Yeah.
if you want to make it work.
Yeah, and that's important. People say they'll conflate this with making sure you're good first. Yeah, making sure I'm good should never mean that I'm neglecting my mate either. So I think
Hmm.
that's the way that you can measure it is if your behaviors are healthy or not. Am I neglecting my other duties that my partner deserve?
Yeah, yeah.
I like this one right here, Tamika Only, man. She said therapy should be embraced when needed. And I know there's the stigma, and we're going to be dealing with that in the coming weeks and months as we lead up to the men's mental health events in June. But therapy, you know what, Gregory, in one of the past events that I had in Vegas, it was about 40 people there. And the
Hmm.
majority of them, I'll be honest, were the staff, right? Maybe 20 or so of the staff that was there to put on the show. And they
Hmm.
ask people, one of the presenters asked people to raise their hand if they're going to counseling or therapy. And it was
Yeah,
about,
yeah,
out of the 40, about 38 people. But all those people were, the staff, and others was there from the community, mental health specialists, um, pastors, or other people that were advocates of mental health. And it's like, man, we get in these events and it seems like that just church and church people, right? And it's
yeah,
like, how
yeah,
do we expound? Like, but to her point, therapy should be embraced. But for whatever reason, it's getting better now. And we talked
yeah.
about it. Sometimes it's like, yeah, it is needed. We're saying that more in the community, but it's like, yeah, it's needed, but not me. It's for them other people out there. That's Yeah.
There is a couple of stigmas around it. And I think, unfortunately, in the Black community, we think if we have Jesus, then we don't need a counselor. But I always say you can have both God and a counselor at the same time. God is not intimidated by our common sense. God is not intimidated by us being able to pull ourselves up and to make good decisions for ourselves. And God is appreciative when He sees us using the gifts that He has given us, meaning mankind. And so He has given certain people anointings and
Yeah.
giftings
Oh,
to be
yeah.
able to walk people through particular issues. And I think that pleases Him when He sees us benefiting off of each other and to help each other using the gifts that He has given us with. I think also with therapy, everybody could use therapy, and I think one of the stigmas around therapy is that you have to have some type of trauma. I think if you're just
Yeah.
alive as a human being, you're going to need someone to talk to. Just being black in America,
Yeah.
you're going to need somebody to talk to. Just because you didn't like your third grade teacher, you're going to need somebody to talk to. Um, Therapy is a place that where you can share the things that you're embarrassed to tell others with and get it off your chest. And so therapy doesn't necessarily mean that you have a particular issue. Therapy just means, listen, I've never told this to anybody before, and I've always wanted to share it. Let me go to therapy, and I
Yeah.
can share it there in a safe place. And so that I know that I'm holding this experience in a way that is healthy for me
That's good.
and not hurting me. Yeah.
Yeah, I always tell people that if I ever hit the lottery, I'm going to therapy. Like, let's talk this out. I need to
Yeah.
know how I'm gonna spend these meals, right? So you're right. It doesn't have to be just for issues. It's just to talk through just life in general, get different perspective. And it doesn't have to be in a formal setting of a therapist's office. It can be a friend, right? Just talking stuff out. It's therapy. It's therapeutic. The
Yeah.
Bible says that confession is therapeutic, right? So yeah, it's a number of ways that you just gotta make sure that we're talking things out.
Yeah.
The Isaiah verse says, let us reason together. So there's
Mhm.
even an expectation from God to utilize each other, to lean on each other, and talk through issues. So
Well, if you win the lottery, I'll be happy to be your counselor. I only charge you just a little bit more than I charge everyone
hey
else.
man, I'm gonna bless your game, brother. You better know it, man. It's gonna be good. Like I said, no progress. We have a problem. And this was earlier when we were talking about meeting
Yeah.
people with challenges. You're right. We can enter in relationships with these people, but hopefully the understanding is like, hey, I'm gonna work through and progress these issues and not just carry
Yeah.
on. Right.
Yeah, and I say that because I don't want people to think that pain is the only reason that we should seek help. Yes, pain is definitely a reason. Pain is definitely a motivator to examine and to get help. But lack of progress too goes
Yeah.
in line with pain. If you're in pain, definitely get help. But if you're not progressing in life, also let's get help. Let's deal with these issues.
Yeah. And man, we're gonna do a podcast about this one topic right here: toilet seat up or toilet seat down. So yeah, we'll say that one for a future discussion. But
Yeah.
hey, here's Tanya, man. We ain't talked to Tanya in a
What's
while.
up?
We need to get her on the show, man. She's doing great things down there. She's in the comments. Go find Latanya Michelle, especially veterans. If you're
Oh
working to
yeah.
try to get your VA disability, up and all that, reach out to her. She's a wealth of knowledge, and she's down in Texarkana, but she does it throughout the country. So reach out to Tanya Michelle. Appreciate you
Yeah,
tuning in.
she's powerful. Yeah, you definitely want to hook up with her.
Yeah, Mia said yes. I can't set up shop and camp in the trenches. That's exhausting. You're right. Yeah, like we can get in there as long as we're gonna get out together, but we're not setting up shop.
Yeah, yeah. We don't do struggle love. We don't do struggle love.
Right, right. My boy Tone said you got to draw the line somewhere. You're right. You got to draw the line in the sand, and that don't mean that you're absent of grace. But I like what you said earlier about observing patterns, right? When you're trying to figure out when is enough, or when is it time to make a move or do something different. I think you can look at the patterns and say, like, you know what, we can keep trying, we can adjust fire, or it's time to draw a line in the sand and make a decision. Yeah. And they will put it on you. I don't know what that's for, but Kalika, she was talking about what you said earlier about you wanna is it you are you building or are you a burden? It's
Yeah, yeah.
what
One of
this
my favorite phrases that ties with that too is that some people give you wings and some people give you weights. And
yeah,
so you want to be with people that give you wings and so that you're able to fly. And so listen, everybody's coming with their baggage. Everyone's coming with issues, but the golden nugget to take away here is that, can I build with you while you work through your issues, while I work with my issues? Are we able to create this life that we always wanted? Or
Yeah,
is these issues going to be a block from us getting the things out of life that we want? And if so, maybe we should just be apart for a while.
that's dope. That's dope. And for people that's tuning in late, I appreciate the comments and you're watching us. We're talking about unresolved issues and what they look like and how to work through them. Tanya says, and you need to make sure it's what they want and not what you think they want. So we were talking earlier about what does love look like when you're reciprocating it. You know, I had a good conversation. Man, it was actually a ugly conversation, but a good friend of mine, man, we just go back and forth. But she said that it's the thought that count. And she was saying like, hey, if I buy you hats because I think you look nice in hats, you need to accept these hats and not show that you're selfish. And I'm like, but if I don't like hats, why are you going to continue to give me hats? So what are your thoughts in those instances? Is it the thought that counts, the fact that you're giving me a gift, or does it need to be tailored to my liking?
Yeah, effectiveness counts, not the thought
Yeah,
that counts. And
yeah,
you want to ask your person a tough question, but a good question to ask: am I effectively loving you? And the things that I do, the choices that I make, do you feel loved? Do you feel appreciated? And if not, can you tell me the ways that love shows up for you and looks like for you? Because I can do 100 great things, but if that's not how you feel loved, then it is a waste of
it's
time.
often not.
Stop wasting my time. Stop
Yeah,
wasting my time. Yeah, and love me the way that I want to be loved.
yeah,
Yeah,
and that's
so
what
it's not the
religious
thought that
right now.
counts.
Love people the way they desire and need. And Aja was saying earlier, we're talking about the small things. It doesn't have to be the big grandiose, gifts. It could be the small things too. Tamika said, "I see you." That statement is life changing and a relationship builder. Yeah, people do want to be seen, right?
So huge, because for men, we know we have this thought as men that nobody cares anyway, right? We go through life thinking, ain't nobody here gonna help me out. I gotta figure it out. I gotta do it myself. But when you have a partner that says, "Babe, I see you. Here, let me help you out with this right here," that
Yeah,
is so huge to us as men. I mean, it is a big deal. And I know it's a big deal for women too, but I
yeah,
just want to, say for men, that's like, I'm telling you, manna from heaven. It
for sure.
really is.
Man, I'm gonna let you take a moment and address this right here from Tony. He said some people don't even know how to love. I think you should figure out the expectation. Their expectation of that. You're right. Some people come in and I think if I was to reframe this, they don't know. They know their ability to love is limited, right? It may be a number of issues that's causing them to where they're fearful to love, fearful to open up, right? And I think the old saying, Gregory, that love is not an act. I mean, it's not a feeling; it's an act. I think it's both, right? And I don't
Mhm.
think my ability to love you in action is based off of my how I feel about you as well. So to his point, some people struggle in that arena. What do you think?
Yeah, some people definitely do struggle in the arena of showing love. They don't know how to love because they haven't been loved properly, or
Yeah,
they don't consider love to be a valuable emotion. There are some people who are adverse to love because they see it as a weakness and not a gift. And so, there's a plethora of reasons why some people don't know how to love. But it's important for us to realize that that's a very real thing, and that sooner or later, that toxicity is just going to destroy the relationship. No, it is naive at best, narcissist at worst, to think that you are going to be able to change that. You are not going to be able to change that, because if God himself wasn't able to change it, then what makes you think that you're able to change it? This person is 20, 30, 40 years old and don't know how to love, and God hasn't already fixed them by now. What makes you think
yeah,
you are going to fix them? So it's a waste of time. There are clearly some people that have blocks, maybe through trauma, maybe through just, I don't want to be in love, or maybe it's I don't want to love you, which is a big thing you need to
man,
address also.
yeah.
That if you see that, don't get yourself connected to that.
Please don't. Yeah, please don't. I don't care how good it look. Shalana says this is exactly why open communication, encouragement, and being willing to listen without judgment is necessary. Listen without judgment, it'll be difficult, right? Because I get it. We judge everything. That's how we kind of gauge, how we move and respond. But the judgment that she's talking about is how to just write people off from the jump, right? So listening with an open mind and an open heart, with the mindset of coming to or reconciling or coming to a point of understanding, I think is absolutely important.
Yeah, and then also judgment and assessing are two different things,
Yeah,
right?
I like it.
I'm not judging you, but I am assessing, okay, have you taken this perspective or have you taken this step? Have you taken that action? I'm only assessing what it is you tried and it hasn't worked, or maybe you need to try again or try it maybe a
Yeah,
different way. This isn't a judgment. I'm really trying to push you towards success by assessing the playing field here. What has worked? What hasn't worked? What hasn't been tried
yeah,
yet? But sometimes people will take assessing your actions as a judgment when it's really not. And it's important to express that to your person to say, listen, I'm only trying to move you towards success. So as I
yeah.
hear it, have you considered fill in the
And I
blank?
think it matters how it comes off too, right? I think you got to
Yeah,
be mindful of what you're saying. You can be like, "What the heck was that?" And seem condescending and judgmental. So do it
right.
with communication and love. Hey, man, I know we over time a little bit, but they coming with the questions and some more, man. I don't want to put you on the hot seat. I can end the show.
Let's do a few more, then we'll wrap it up. I'm enjoying
Yeah,
this. I love it. I love it.
cool,
If
cool.
we got some more.
Um, Italian said, "Who determines whether you are a good mate or not? You or your partner?"
Ooh, that is a great question.
Yeah.
Your mate determines, and so
You
that
good
could
for the
be in a
relationship? Is
very,
that what you're saying?
huh?
Are you good for that relationship? Is that what you're saying? You're saying your mate determines if you're good, but you're saying good for them, not if you're a good partner
I'm
or
saying,
whatnot.
yeah, and I'm saying if you're a good partner, if you're a
Okay.
good partner, if you're a good mate, if you're a good boyfriend, if you're a good girlfriend, your partner determines that. And what it is that you have to take that consideration to be true and not try to fight against it, right? And so what I mean is if someone's constantly tearing you down and they're saying you're not a good mate, then leave them alone. If someone says that, hey, you're too much for me, then they're right. Go find someone who you'll be enough for. You don't have to stay in a place where you're not valued, where they don't see or appreciate what you are bringing to their lives. And so, if in their assessment you are not good, then they're right. Then go find someone who thinks that you are good. And so,
Yeah.
that person that thinks that you are good is the person you should more than likely, is a better option for you.
Yeah.
And so, your
Yeah.
your partner determines that.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
love this one right here. She says, Cody says, if love can be quantified like a score, a ratio, or a checklist, it usually isn't love, it's transaction control or reassurance seeking. You're right. And we talk about these transactional
you're
relationships,
right.
right? I would do this as long as you keep doing that. Well, that puts an unnecessary, unfair, and unrealistic burden on the other person because now my ability or my worthiness of being loved is based off of me paying a bill or providing this benefit for you. What if I lose that ability? Am I no longer worthy of your love?
Absolutely right. You're absolutely right. There's so many seasons, right, in a relationship, especially in a marriage, where there may be, what if your spouse decides they want to go back to school and get another degree? Then that's a season where you're going to have to take up more housework, look after the kids a little bit more. And so there's different good and bad seasons where you're going to be carrying the burden, carrying the heavy load to support your spouse. And so we can't quantify that. We can't keep a checklist. We can't keep score in those
Yeah,
particular seasons. We just go, well, this is just my season to step up. And that may be 6 days, 6 weeks, or 6 months while you get that master's degree or you go back to school and get that certification.
that's why I
Now
think
we
it's
can.
important to have that mindset of partnership, which is influenced by
Mhm.
unresolved issues. Because if we're a partner, she or he's going to encourage their mate, right, to better and grow because it's going to be better for the relationship. But I think these are things that you have to talk about and not just haphazardly out there making decisions to change directions or switch careers or to change my
Sure.
availability because I just got a wild hair. I think you need to talk about
Yeah,
it and realize it is a partnership, right?
absolutely. That's a
Yeah.
good point. That's a very good point. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and Shay, classmate, appreciate you. She,
Hey,
I
Shay.
think she, yeah, up there in Chicago. She says love is an action word, not just how you feel. All about what you do. You're right, and we said that earlier. It's not just action; it is feelings too. Love is
Hmm.
action. We say love is an action word, not just how you feel. So, yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's sacrificial. The greatest example of love is a man giving up his life, for us. And so You can't love without giving, and you can't love without sacrifice. And if someone's not willing to give a sacrifice for you, they don't love you.
Preacher. I'm gonna let you read this one from here, right here from Orlando.
People always remember how you make them feel. If you don't behave or act in a way that fuels love constantly, it becomes questionable. Um, Constantly? I don't know. I think that hopefully I have enough love equity in the bank that if I have a bad day, you'll know, okay, Gregory's just having a bad day. He doesn't not love me that day. But love is consistent, though. And I think that's what she's getting to is that. You will show it on from an extended period of time over the course of years and over the course of lifetime, yes, but also keeping in consideration sometimes it's just a bad day. I'm distracted with stuff at work and I'm not able to show up as lively as I normally do, and
Yeah,
that's when I need to lean on you, to come
yeah,
hype me up, be my hype man,
yeah. But
because
I can
man, I
see
ain't
your
feeling it.
point that but you built up enough that even when I'm off, like love is still constant. It should be, right?
Yeah,
I'm not just now. I ain't just talking about the feeling, but sometimes you got to know, like you know what, this is my partner. This is my person, and even though she is not on her A game right now, like man, she's built up enough in the reservoir
yeah,
that love is quote unquote constantly.
yeah. That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The stigma around mental health is overwhelming at times, and she's right. But we're gonna do our part to chip away at that, right? We're gonna grow our community, better our community, and we're gonna normalize therapy and counseling. I promise you,
Yeah.
we're gonna do what we can to do that. Qualika says stewardship. Well, she hitting at the spirit right now.
Oh
Uh,
wow. Yeah,
yeah,
she is. Yeah. Love, marriage in particular is a service industry job. And so if you get married, you're choosing who you are choosing to serve for the
yeah,
rest of your life. It's a service-based job. And so
yeah,
you have to go into it thinking that way.
yeah. And I really love this comment right here. I mean, I'm telling you, this is gonna be a show, Gregory. Be left up. Hey, we'll talk about that one, right? Appreciate
Right,
the
right.
comment, D'Angelo. Man, we got a few. I'm trying to go through here and see if there's any that we need to address. Man, that's quite a few, and they're saying some of the same thing. But Gregory, we're gonna let you come bring us to a closing point. Give us some words of inspiration. Wrap up the show. Give us some good nuggets to take back to our community, our family, work, and all that, so we can know how to identify and address unresolved issues.
Yeah. This is such an important topic because unresolved issues are can really just run rampant in a relationship and destroy them. Unresolved issues are the pains that you are fearful to address. It is the part of you that you're afraid to look at. And so you can't fix what you won't face. You can't be delivered from what you won't deal with. You can't conquer what you will not confront. And so, what we're urging you today is to confront those issues that hurt, that are painful, because in order to be healed, it has to be touched, and you can't leave it unresolved. And so, don't leave those skeletons in the closet because they will come back and haunt you. Unresolved issues would not only be the death of your relationship, they could also be the death of you because they will cause anxiety, they will cause ulcers, they can cause all types of grief in your life. And so you were not meant to just survive. You were meant to thrive. And the way to thrive is to conquer those resolved issues. So starting today, make a conscious effort to say, hey, if I'm not going to be honest with anybody else on earth, I'm going to be.
Oh man, you dropped Gregory. Hold on, here you go. Boy, I was about to take over, man. I was
It was
about to take over.
about to. You could have brought it on home. The
Yeah,
last part I was going to say, hey, just make a promise to yourself that, hey, in 2026, that if I'm not honest with anyone else, I'm going to be honest with myself. I'm going to address those patterns so that I can not just survive, but I can thrive.
yeah. And just real quick, my part is just what we said earlier. If you really want to address the issue, you have to first identify the issue, and identifying in part is also owning it. Like, hey, there is an issue here, and how do you do that? You talked about it. Take the some input, some insight from others around you, and not just the people that are closest to you or the people that's just going to cheer you on. but go and seek input from people that work with you in different arenas, whether it's at work, whether if you go to the gym, people in that arena, friends, family, right? Church.
Right. Yeah.
But seek the insight. And even if it don't come across the best, because some people not, presenting all buttoned up, but consider, sometimes not what they actually said, but what they could be trying to say. And then look at the patterns, like what are the most input saying about you, and seek help, seek counseling, reach out to Dr. Gregory, right? There's a lot of people out here who have dedicated their life to growing us, and it starts with what you said earlier is identifying that there is an actual problem. So, hey, man, this was fun, Gregory. And to the people out there in the comments, man, they were still coming. And I'll ask Gregory and Tamika and Carlika and Mia and Coley, all y'all, man, we got a lot of smart people. Interact with each other. Hey, go to those comments and respond to each other. Help us out. But we're gonna ask Dr. Gregory to get as many as he can too. But
sure enough, I will do.
Hey, and share the show. This information is only good if we're reaching out to the masses, if we're reaching the masses. So help us reach people, tag their name in the comment, share it on your page, send the podcast to people. And even if they're not on Facebook, we on YouTube too. So you can send them the YouTube page so that they can watch this show. But Gregory, go ahead and close us out, man.
Man, this has been a pleasure once again.
Yeah.
Every week I get delighted when I get the opportunity to speak to the people and bring them conversations that we feel are meaningful. And we hope that today blessed you. We look forward to doing this again with you. So, hey, tell all your friends and your family about the Floor is Yours podcast. Like, share, and subscribe. Get the word out. Tell your mama, tell your daddy, tell your friends, tell your neighbor, tell everybody about us. And so this is exactly, the Floor is Yours podcast is exactly that. It is your podcast. So let us know in the comments, what are some topics, some concerns, some issues that you would like for us to discuss, and we'll be happy to do so. But until next time, hey, we love you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Peace, love, hair grease. We out.
Need another, this one here really do it for you.
Baby, you